Hey everybody, so I am back today with just a little bit of a channel update. I don't do that too often, so I've got some slight changes in direction for the channel. Mainly it's going to be the same, it's just as far as the format, but just as far as the content goes and choice of content. I thought I haven't gotten a tremendous amount of painting done this week. I worked on my terrain piece that I showed you guys last time. I've been working on that steadily, and I've been working on the base for this guy here, and so I've been doing a couple of different types of metallics, and haven't done any washes, so it looks almost like really too shiny at the moment, I think. But that's kind of, now I'm going to paint some more of the metallics in here with some different colors like that skull and things. But yeah, no, this is sort of coming along. I decided to just work on the base first because it's a pretty big piece for this Typhus, or Typhon, I should say, model. I've got the Craft Worlds Eldar, the latest codex, and these cards out, which I haven't used yet, out just because I've got a couple of standard 40k games coming up. I mainly play Kill Team now, but I like regular 40k, and I just haven't. Most folks that I've played with have wanted to play Kill Team. One of the folks that I play 40k with mostly, he and I are doing a bit of an escalation campaign where I'm going to use my Knights of Griffin Space Marines against Tyranids that he's painting up, and we're just kind of creating a 500, 750, I think 1,000 point to 1,500 sort of escalation narrative campaign, and so that'll be a lot of fun, and it's not going to be always balanced, and it's just going to be very, very fluffy, and so it'll be just a fun little campaign. But I have game scheduled tomorrow for regular 40k with someone, and it's going to be 1,500 points, and I'm using my Eldar, and so I'm pulling out the new codex just to make a new list for 1,500 points. It's been a while, so I'm really looking forward to that. I really haven't had lately too hard of a time getting some 40k scheduled to play, you know, whether it be the Kill Team or the regular and standard game. And in my city, it's there. It's not. I wouldn't say it's as huge as it probably once was, but it's still all over the place. Like, there's still lots of people that play it, and so that's a good thing. Like, I feel like I can get my models on the table and put all my painting into some use as far as playing the game as well. But as far as the channel direction piece, this kind of leads into that, and because I'm able to get 40k games in, and really for me, just getting games. I'm not a tournament player. I don't really have any desire for that, and so really just getting some games in on the table and having some fun, rolling some dice is really all I ask from my hobby. I mean, it's, the gaming side. It's really all I want for the most part, and I don't really see a problem with that from the 40k side of things. So that's actually kind of good because, as many of you know, I kind of view half of my personal priority in the games I've chosen to play as being 40k. But then there's the other side, and that is the historical skirmish. Now, I haven't in the past really always referred to it as historical skirmish, really differentiated it that way, but I'm actually starting to, and I guess I don't have anything against the big historical games that are general, I guess it'd be kind of funny to call it historical, but more traditional historical games, oftentimes in smaller scale miniatures, oftentimes in much larger scale battles. Very cool. I really think those are great. But at the same time, although there are folks that probably play both, like let's say 28mm skirmish, lower model count, historical games and the bigger games, because maybe they just have a love of history and they kind of see both as something they like. I've noticed, not only outside of my local area, sometimes a real differentiation as to whether people get into one versus the other, because there is a different sort of investment and approach to those games, to each of those kind of categories. And so I often see folks going one way or the other on it. locally, though, and that's what's most important to me and what I'm going to talk about locally. Locally, there is support in my Calgary area for the bigger historical games, particularly Flames of War for World War II, but just sort of bigger format, smaller scale miniature games have some folks that are dedicated to that, and like a club and things like that, and they don't play like the historical skirmish games that I like. For those of you that have watched the channel for a while, I've spoken about how we have had success with bolt action in the city. It's unfortunate. I think part of that is just due to a lack of a real anchor in any one spot or organization of it, but a lot of that is really faded. We had about 6 to 8 people that just in one spot, like, in one website community and just things, were, kind of organizing pickup games with each other for bolt action. And that website had changed a bit over time, and folks kind of also disappeared a bit, and so it really hadn't kept up steam. Now, I really don't think it's anything of the fault of the game, to be quite honest. I think that bolt action has a very, very it has a very, very strong pull, for folks that get into it, because it's a really fun game, and I think there are a lot of people that are interested in the World War II, and it's not hard to get people interested in it. We had those 6 to 8 people within a very short time start armies from scratch and start playing. So I thought about this because, as you all well know, Musket and Tomahawks is sort of my main historical skirmish game, but I also really like bolt action. I've been thinking about this, and I was talking to a friend that plays most of the games that I play, and as far as the skirmish games, and we were thinking that we really would like to locally form a bit of a group that focuses on historical skirmish games, that gives people a spot to go to, whether it be a physical spot or even online in an organization of place to schedule games and things like that, for folks that are into historical skirmish games. Now, obviously, we can't support every single game that's out there, and perhaps the goal of this isn't to... it's not really to just promote one game per se, but it's just to start with some games that we already want to play, and then folks can add them as they'd like to. And so how does this affect the channel? Well, not a whole lot, in the sense that I already have shown battle reports for bolt action and Musket and Tomahawks, and half of what I do tends to be historical skirmish, for those of you that watch the channel. But it's going to mean a continuation of that for sure. But then also, I'm looking to add a skirmish game and looking to take away some things that I said I was going to do. What many of you know, I kind of primarily used Orcs and Goblins army for Warhammer Fantasy, and to also dabble in Age of Sigmar. I also got some Wood Elves for my daughter to paint. That kind of fell through a bit. She showed some interest, but I don't really think that she's up for getting into miniature painting, much to my regret. But and so I really want to paint my Orcs and Goblins, and I'm going to do it. But for those of you that were looking forward to that on the channel, I have some other things that I have to put in front of it, and it has to do with focusing on this historical skirmish community that I'm trying to build in Calgary and support. And so what I'm planning on doing next is I'm planning on actually getting into Saga. I thought a lot about the Crescent and Cross versus getting just the original war bands and just doing Dark Ages. Because of one of my friends that also plays these games, he has a Vikings warband. I'm looking at doing Anglo-Danes and just starting out with the Dark Age rules, and then later adding Crescent and Cross, most likely. But I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to paint up a Saga warband, and what that'll allow is the historical skirmish group that we're trying to do in Calgary to support 3 eras of historical skirmish, and that will be World War II for bolt action. For Black Powder, it'll be Musket and Tomahawks. And then for Dark Age and Medieval, if we do the Crusaders as well and things, it'll be Saga. And so to me, that'll be a lot of fun. And so what you should see on the channel is not only painting, but also more battle reports for those types of games. And so there is a bit of a focus on that in my channel. I really, it has nothing to do with my interest or, me getting a lack of interest in 40K, but it has more to do with the fact that I can actually feed the 40K side of my hobby pretty easily. But another side that I equally like, really both of them probably about the same, is some of this historical skirmish stuff. And that is becoming very difficult in my area. I mean, other than just the fact that I have a couple friends I do play with those games with, I'd really like to see it supported more in my area. Because I really believe that there's a desire for those games, that people just don't know where to go for them, and they just never get really picked up because of it. So that's kind of where the direction of the channel is going. So there'll just be a slight change in that. I've not pursued games in the past that I have showed, like I've showed Drop Zone Commander, and I did a bit of Infinity as far as painting and things, but that kind of went under the rug too. And so there are games that kind of get kicked to the side and other things get pushed up front. I think in the channel for the next quite a while, it's going to be 40K as usual, a return of bolt action, because I've had a desire actually to paint more bolt action and to play a bit more, because I've taken quite a bit of a break to focus on Musket and Tomahawks. Definitely more Musket and Tomahawks, and particularly for the painting, but then eventually perhaps battle reports will be seeing some Saga too, and I'll probably be talking about it because I'm going to be learning it as I go. So I hope you guys are having a really good week. This is just sort of a brief update, but just kind of let some of and particularly the folks that might be interested, that are longtime viewers, what I'm up to and where I'm going with the content in the channel going forward. And for those of you that might actually do this kind of thing, like actually support a club or have an active involvement, I've actually been offered to moderate, sort of a section of a website forum that's a local forum, and help build it for what I'm talking about. And so it's going to be a focus of mine. I'm actually quite interested in what folks might have learned, that actually kind of take active participation in gaming clubs, because I have my own desire for my hobby and even for what a club like this could look like, but it's really going to be the members of the club that really decide that. I'm not being a big tournament person. If I had my wish, I would just want a group of people that met regularly, that were able to get pickup games and just had fun, and painted up their miniatures and had them on the table and just a place to go and to do it. But if people want to do tournaments or like actual more organized kind of events and things like that, then that's what we'll do. That's probably not the biggest strength of mine, just because I've just never really had a big desire to push that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of interested if anybody's got experience at all with something remotely associated with what I've described that I'm looking at doing, because that would be interesting to hear that kind of feedback. Okay, everybody, take care.